So, is there a possibility that Russia could strike Poland next? In the short term, the answer is no, because its objective, Russian objective, is to take over entire Ukraine, and they got their hands full with that. The operation in the north, where Kiev, um, the surrounding area, did not go so well because they were simply trying to take Ukrainian capital in one whole piece, and they realized that the resistance was pretty strong there. So they adapted and improvised and simply moved to the east and south. And right now, their primary focus is in the south. So once they're done taking over the southern part of Ukraine, right now they're leveling out Mariupol, and then the next possible target would be the port city of Odessa, which would be another grand prize for them. Um, and soon after they have taken over the port city of Odessa, they will start moving towards the western part of Ukraine, which is Lviv area, and then back towards the north. At that point, they would probably go in from the north and the south at the same time. So it may have looked like they're withdrawing from Kiev right now, but the reason why the Russians did that is simply to take Ukraine's capital, Kiev, in one whole piece. So going back to the point of whether they would strike Poland, Russians would create a conflict with Poland. In the short term, it's highly unlikely, but when you look at the medium and long term, the chances are high once Russians have obtained their objective in taking over entire Ukraine. So the nervousness that the Polish are feeling right now is legitimate, but it's unlikely at this stage because it's too soon for the Russians to create a conflict with NATO member, because they know the consequences could be extremely dangerous for everyone involved there. Because that's a NATO member, and NATO would have to get involved under the Article 5, and it would have to come to one of its members member being attacked. So the chances are very slim, but there are some unknowns there that I was personally looking at, and the fact that Russians were bombing near Lviv area, which is very close to the Polish border, and that itself is very dangerous because anything at that point could trigger something with Poland, and it could lead to an all-out World War-like situation because all the NATO members would be involved at that point. So in the short term, it's highly unlikely. Medium and long term, the chances increase because once Ukraine is completely occupied by the Russians, at that point they will start to feel like if they need to move towards a NATO member because they're simply insecure at that point, because they know the NATO members are watching everything it's doing within Ukraine, and naturally the insurgency would be supported by the NATO members. So being that in the short term, Russia is dealing with all the armament coming in through Poland. It makes it dangerous for Poland, but Russia is not. They have calculated that they know the dangers involved in trying to trigger a conflict with Poland at this stage. So that said, in the future, the chances increase, say 6 to 8 months down the road, once once Ukraine is completely occupied. So, uh, and there's a tremendous amount of unknowns there as far as when Russia completely occupies Ukraine.